Hello everyone and welcome to SkillCapped. I'm Notorious Dub and today I'm going to be going over one of the most controversial new agents in the game, Yoru. With his double pop flashes, ability to teleport across the map, and his ability to go invulnerable and scout, Yoru has more people saying he's overpowered than when Reyna was released. But as always, when a new agent is released, we're going to go over the basic playstyle, all of his abilities, the different tactics you can use, and go over some pro footage, all to help you pick up Yoru and start fragging out like the lurking Yoru main that you are. And if you're serious about improving, then go to SkillCapped.com to unlock our hyper improvement system that will teach you how to win more gunfights, master your agent, and so much more. It's backed by our rank improvement guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. So come join over 500,000 satisfied members of SkillCapped, improve that KDA, and get the rank that you've always wanted at SkillCapped.com. Link is in the description below. Alright, so first things first, let's talk about Yoru's playstyle. So Yoru is the perfect example of a lurking agent with the ability to thread the needle with his gate crash and teleport behind the enemies for a deep flank whenever he needs it, or to throw it in place and provide himself a clean escape route if his lurk ends up going wrong. Yoru also has the ability to ult into the site and tell his team exactly where the enemies are playing without being able to be damaged, and quickly escape out the other side of the site to cause problems for the enemy team from the other side, or to just cut off the rotators. Or you could always just TP back to your gate crash that you left where you started your ult at. Not to mention, he has an audio cue that can distract enemies from their goal, and a pop flash that can be very difficult to avoid too. All of these things essentially just make Yoru the best agent to deep flank the enemies whenever he's defending. He can also lurk around behind the enemies to support your team on your attack, and he even has the ability to entry frag for his team with his double flashes and the ability to teleport back to safety if the enemies catch him off guard. So let's get down to the basics with his abilities. So first off, you have Yoru's basic abilities. The first being Fake Out. This is the most unique ability we've seen in the game so far, and it allows you to cast an echo that mimics player footsteps when it's activated. Left clicking with this ability out sends the echo in a straight line immediately, and right clicking will set the echo in place, which you can then activate at a later time whenever you want, similar to how you would activate a Killjoy Molotov. This ability is great for faking a solo push because enemies will think multiple people are pushing up to the angle because you can actually use both fake outs on one push at the same time, and it's great for cluttering the audio when you're entering a site. This forces the enemies to look away for a split second before you peek, or just be scared to peek out into the open because they think multiple people are there, when in reality it could just be you going way too far past your team while you have two more sets of footsteps following you. And then we have Yoru's blind side. This is essentially a pop flash that throws a fragment that activates whenever it makes contact with a hard surface in the world, so it can't bounce off lampposts and certain things like that. Now after contact with a hard surface, the ability quickly pops and flashes enemies for a full second and much less time if they're looking away, almost to the point where Yoru's flash is one of the most difficult flashes to avoid, but also the least punishing if you do get hit by it, and the least punishing for sure if you manage to turn away before you hit you. Now the best uses for this ability are going to be flashing the point where your gate crash is seen to protect your teleport, and pop flashing around corners to make your peek that much more effective. That way the enemies have less reaction time to peek and turn away before your flash actually pops. And then we have Yoru's signature ability, Gate Crash. This ability allows Yoru to fire a rift that moves forward in a straight line, or you can right click the ability to set it in place. Now at any time during the next 20 seconds, you can activate your gate crash to teleport to that location. This ability is the reason many people think Yoru is so overpowered, because although the orb can be seen and heard if you're in range of it, it's completely invisible if you're not, and it can be easily threaded through areas that enemies don't normally play. This gives Yoru an extremely deep teleport to flank around to, or it even allows him to fully rotate and make it back to the site if he needs to return back to it for some reason. And finally, we have Dimensional Drift, Yoru's ultimate ability. Now this ability is the most punishing but also the most satisfying to pull off. With this ability, Yoru equips a mask that looks pretty cool by the way, that allows him to switch dimensions, making Yoru unable to be seen or affected by the enemies on the outside, and enemies on the inside of the area can see Yoru but not damage him. After this 9-second long ability ends, Yoru swaps back into the game and can be damaged, and he can now shoot once again. This is one of the best abilities for scouting out areas, deep flanking whenever your team is taking site, or just making sure you can get somewhere safely without the threat of being killed whenever you need to rotate extremely quickly through a dangerous area of the map. And now that we know the gist of Yoru's playstyle and his abilities, let's talk about your buy on the most important round of the game, Pistol Round. Now here you are going to have three options, with the most common that you're going to be seeing from pros being Ghost because they love the Ghost, one blindside, and 1 fake out. Now fake out is arguably the least useful on pistol round, but can always be a good distraction and clutter the enemy's audio whenever you're taking their sight. And if this actually leads into Cypher utility or Killjoy utility, it can make it go off and make them think that an enemy's there or just waste their utility. And then you have the Ghost and the Blind side being the obvious choices for high kill potential players to make sure you can get that one-shot kill potential from the Ghost if the enemies don't have light shield, and you can always have that pop flash behind you just in case you need that extra kill potential. And then next up you have the double blind side and light armor buy. Just like we see from a lot of Phoenixes who love their entry frag roll, this gives you the ability to spam your flashes while still having a little bit of survivability, and the classic, which while it's nerfed now, is still the go-to for a lot of players on pistol round. And finally, which I predict will become much more common after the classic nerf, Frenzy and double blind side. Now this is now becoming the go-to buy for Phoenix because the Frenzy has such a high kill potential close range, and 2 Flash Phoenix has the ability to get in close, and Yoru has an even better ability to get in close to off angles with his gate crash. So even though you're giving up that longer range kill potential of the Ghost and that little bit of survivability that light armor is going to give you, you're going to make up for it by the huge amount of DPS you're able to pump out after you flash into your gate crash teleport, backside, and just start wrecking enemies with your high damage Frenzy while your teammates are coming from the other side. Alright, so now we need to talk about tactics. So the first big tactic that you're going to need to get the hang of is using lineups to get your gate crash exactly where you want it. Like here on B main on Ascent. You can angle yourself on the right side of the entrance to B site and throw your gate crash towards lane. And if you do it correctly, just slightly tucked away from the wall, it will end up all the way in the back of Boathouse. Now this is a very simple lineup and it's very forgiving because the gate crash is almost guaranteed to end up back there. But it essentially gives you a sneakier Omen teleport to cause problems on the attack. And over time, there are going to be better and better of these lineups to come up, and it's up to you to find the ones that fit your playstyle. But just imagine you flashing out for your team B main and throwing all of your utility and dumping it so your team can get that initial push onto the site correctly, and then you TP back site and cause so much chaos that it's nearly impossible for a team to hold down B site. It becomes a nightmare the more you think about it. And then next we have the pop flash. Now this is one thing that you're going to have to get used to because it's going to become meta. Now if you're familiar with Counter-Strike and you've watched any highlight videos, you've probably seen 1 or 2 videos of someone throwing a flash off of the ground and it flashes right when it gets around the corner that they're peeking. Well, that's essentially what you're going to want to do with Yoru's flashes. Throw your flashes off of the ground or situationally off the wall, a good distance back from the edge of the angle that you want to peek. That way the enemies have less time to turn around and the flash pops right when it gets around the corner. Now you can obviously perfect this where it gets absolutely frame perfect as soon as it comes around the corner, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure you don't lob the ball right in front of their face and then it bounces off of a wall and then bounces back away before it finally pops. Just make the flash bounce before it actually gets around the corner, and then it bounces into their line of sight so they have less time to react. Anything is better than nothing. And finally we have flashing our gate crash, because the biggest problem with the gate crash is it can be seen very easily by enemies playing in certain spots. So to make up for that, you're going to want to throw your flash wherever you think the enemy is going to see your gate crash from. Or you could always just throw your flash and time it where you teleport as the flash is popping. This way you give you the perfect peek on enemies who have no idea what just happened because they're completely blind, their audio is cluttered by the flashing sound, and you're TPing right in front of their face to deliver that one-shot kill. And of course we have to show you some pros playing Yoru so you can really get the hang of what's going on. So of course we have to show you a teleport play. This is going to be the standard that makes Yoru so strong, and we have one of the best aims in the game playing Yoru. Here we see aceu send his gate crash to the back of site. He covers it with his flash on the initial push through beside the truck, and he continues to support his Reyna with his flashes and U-Haul control. This is why it's so important, because you can forget about your gate crash until the perfect time is right. And whenever the time is right, you TP back to your gate crash and pick up that impact frag that opens the site up and allows your team to rush in and start trading out those kills, simplifying the round for you once you get the site. And next up we have the pop flash. This is the one thing that's going to end up being the most overpowered in Yoru's kit, and it's going to take the most time for some people to get used to it. But here we see aceu do it perfectly. You want the bounce to be shrouded by smoke or just out of the enemy's line of sight, and after the bounce it pops out of the smoke, giving the enemies a very small amount of time to react to the flash peeking out and popping in their face. And here we see the Cypher, even though he tried to turn away, still fully flashed because the reaction time is just not there. And mastering this will make getting that entry entry kill onto bomb sites so much easier for your team, so you can then rush in that bomb site, start trading out kills because you now have control. And finally, we have the ult play that we have to show. Now this is so easy to troll and feed a kill to the enemies if you're doing it incorrectly, but here we see Ninja do it perfectly. He ults through a site to get information for his team, and he promptly follows that up with a teleport to safety. This is the kind of ultimate that even if you don't manage to get 3 kills like he did, can easily win your team around just because you have so much information now, and your team can collapse and box the enemies in extremely quickly. And honestly, this is going to be one of the best uses for Yoru ult. It's much like Omen ult and can be used to get information very quickly. Yoru ult can be used the exact same way. But what you're going to do is gather that information and get out of there to pick up the round with the information that you got. Remember, you don't have to make the hero plays and win every round solo. You're a lurker and you're an information gatherer for your team. And if you fill that role, you'll start winning rounds and winning games very quickly. And remember, if you want to improve, win more gunfights, and get the rank that you have always wanted, then check out SkillCapped.com. Link is in the description below. All in all though, are you in the Yoru is overpowered boat? Let me know in the comments down below if you think he's actually OP or people just don't know how to play around him yet. And while you're down there, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn those notification bells on, because we here at SkillCapped have a ton more comprehensive premium guides coming your way that you're going to want to stay up to date with so you can stay ahead of the pack. As always though, I want to thank you for spending this little bit of your day with us, and I'm Notorious Dub, signing off.